Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 101 to Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you live from the Outpost. I am your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm Alex the Historian.
And today, we don't have any special guests today. We figured after the spectacular...
I'm a special guest, Matt.
Yeah, Alex is always our special guest. But we figured after that, few 3 weeks that we had leading up to episode 100 where we had guests, we'll take it old school today, just Alex and I. So yeah, welcome everybody. We might have a guest next week. We might not have a guest next week. It will just have to depend on who's available. But anyways, for all of you listeners who don't know who you are, Alex, why don't you go ahead and give a rundown of what kind of videos you make on your channel? We haven't done this in a while, just Alex and I. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and give a rundown of the videos that you make?
All right, well, I'm Alex the Historian. I make Disneyland history videos. My channel's only about Disneyland, at least so far. And my videos are a little bit different than usual history videos that you see on YouTube. The difference being that I've had a lot of access over the years to understand the technology, the stories, the little colorful anecdotes, the special effects behind the different rides and shows at Disneyland. And then as well as the fact that when I do vlogs, I usually, when I go into the park, I also I talk about a little bit of the history, about some of the names behind the creation of the park, and some little places or items of historical interest that you may not know about. So it's a really interesting channel. It's a little bit different than what other people are doing, and hopefully you guys will visit it and enjoy it. So thanks.
Yeah, guys, the link has always been in the description down for Alex's channel. In case you missed it, I'm sure everybody who's listening to the show now knows who Alex is. But anyways, let's go ahead and give a big round of applause to Alex.
Bruh.
That's the wrong sound effect. Sorry about that. I meant to play this one. Party horn for Alex. Yeah, go subscribe to Alex. Sorry about that. That was a wrong sound effect. But as you guys know, link will be in the description to my Twitter, the Discord channel that we have, or I guess Discord server that we have, my Instagram, all that kind of stuff, Patreon, you guys know the deal. You can also do !Discord, !Patreon, ! Donate if you're watching live here on the stream. Yeah, welcome to everybody here watching live on the stream. Before we get started, we do have a few birthdays that I like to get through. Actually, just one birthday this week. Today, August 10th, is Andrew's birthday. No last name. Not sure if this is the Andrew from the meetup. Anyways, nonetheless, happy birthday to you, Andrew. And yeah, let's see. I haven't really read any reviews for the show that we have on iTunes because there haven't been any new reviews to read. So if you guys would like to go ahead and leave a review for the podcast here on iTunes, it'd be much appreciated. It can be a 5-star, it can be a 4-star, even a 3-star. Or, I mean, if you want a 2-star or 1-star is fine too. Link will be in the description down below for you guys to leave a review. And I made this announcement last week, but I might as well reiterate it here for you guys. I'm going to be live streaming during the D23 Parks and Resorts panel at 10 a.m. Disneyland time on Sunday, August 25th. I'm not going to be there physically, but I'm going to be, watching the stream that they put out, because I'm pretty sure they put out Disney puts out like a live stream for everybody to watch, not at the parks panel. I'm pretty sure they did that 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'll be reacting to that, to all the announcements live. If you guys want to tune in for that, 10 a.m. Disneyland time on Sunday, August 25th. And yeah, I do have one more announcement. I was explaining this to everybody during the pre-show. I really enjoy having the sort of interaction that we have here on the podcast with the live chat. Of course, the live stream link is in the description to my streaming channel. And we've experimented in the past of trying to have ways to have the viewers and listeners voice their opinions on the topics we've been saying live on the show, whether it be through Discord, through the waiting room, which has had many trial runs. All of them have not necessarily been failures, but we've had some successful trial runs of the waiting room in the past. But just the logistics behind how Alex and I communicate on Discord during these streams. We're in a group chat. That's how Alex is able to share his camera. And we can't necessarily bring in everybody that wants to voice their opinions into our group chat. So we'd normally, but in the past, before Alex had his camera on the stream, we'd just be in a Discord channel. We'd drag up the listener who'd like to voice their opinion into our channel with us, and then just drag them out once they're done doing that, once they're done explaining everything. So, like I said, I really enjoy that kind of interactivity that we have here on the show, and I want to continue that on. And today we're going to be doing a test. This week and next week as well, we're going to be doing a test. I have a Google Voice number that instead of using the waiting rooms, I would like you guys to give this Google Voice number a call during the podcast live to voice your opinions. We're not necessarily going to be taking live calls on the show. As soon as you call, I'll decline the call, and then it'll go to the voicemail. You guys can leave a voicemail. It'll say, your name, and you can just leave the voicemail pertaining to whatever topic we're talking about. Voice your thoughts on it, and we'll play the voicemail over here on stream. Again, this is a test. Audio quality, of course, is going to be garbage because, of course, it's going to be over a phone. It's going to be a phone call, voicemail, so it won't be necessarily people using their microphones on Discord. But I feel like this would be a fun test to do, and I did a test call before the stream, and we already have a couple voicemails here that I'm really hesitant to play because I don't know if they're pranks or not. I mean, they're transcribed here. This one's only 8 seconds. This is 12 seconds. But yeah, so I'll put the I'll put the phone number here in chat again for those of you guys who missed it. It is 575-386-5814. And going forward, if this is successful, I'll have the phone number down in the description below for you guys to go ahead and give us a phone call, leave a voicemail during the streams. Yeah, like I said, this is a test going forward. If you guys have any opinions you'd like to voice on any of the topics we're going to be talking about, go ahead and give that number a call. I see one of my friends, Eric, is telling me to play a message that he left, and I'm really hesitant to play it. Now, before we get into our main topics, let's go ahead and see what kind of Snapple Matt's drinking over here for Matt Snaps. Still don't have a theme song for Matt Snaps, but I got Mango Snapple here today, as you guys can see. Classic. Classic. So let's go ahead and pop this bad puppy open. That was kind of a weak pop. I apologize for that. And before we move on, I'd like to give a shout out to Monica from Puckermint. She bought me this mug. This is one of the mugs I was talking about a few episodes ago. This is I think it's called the I Was There series Starbucks mugs from Disneyland. I've talked about this on the show before. It's got really cute art on it. So shout out to Monica from Puckermint. Link in the description. Use code MMDAYS for 15% off your order. And she also got me this pin. This Indiana Jones D23 pin. So yeah, shout out to Monica. I'll go ahead and pour this in, and then we will get right into this week's News from the Peak.
We now present to you News from the Peak.
For our first bit of News from the Peak, we touched on this last week, briefly, and now Disney has officially revealed the prices for their bundle. Disney announces a $12.99 bundle for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Now, I think, personally, this is a really great deal. $12 a month. I believe, I can't think of right off the top of my head how much Netflix costs a month. I think it's around
it's
11.
the same price.
Is it really the same price? That is just...
Yeah, for having only two screens, I think it's $12.99.
Okay, that is crazy. I thought maybe Netflix was a few dollars lower, but since it's the same price, yeah, that is a really great deal, you guys. $12.99 a month for Disney Plus, Hulu with ads, I believe, and ESPN Plus. Now, don't necessarily know what ESPN Plus is. I think they have like original shows on there, or maybe you can watch live sports. Not sure. If you're into that kind of stuff.
Wait, it's Hulu with ads?
I think it's Hulu with ads. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that's how it was announced. That's how it was announced in the article. Link in the description to all the articles we're going to be talking about. And I also noticed I'd like to touch on some questions that you guys had from last week when we briefly touched on this topic. I noticed some questions from you guys to the detail of, do you have to have Hulu to get Disney Plus? Because last week we touched on how Disney Plus would be there'd be a bundle for Hulu with Disney Plus. No, you don't need to have Hulu to get Disney Plus. You can get Disney Plus standalone without Hulu if you'd like, for the normal $6.99 price. I did notice a few comments in our last podcast of people who were confused about that. The Kevin says it's a really good deal. Alex, what are your thoughts on this very, I don't know, it's kind of mind-blowing that Disney would price this low. What are your thoughts on this bundle by Disney?
I think it's a really good idea because there's a lot of shows right now that I want to see happening, or at least are going to be happening on Hulu. And
I just wanted
haven't
to say,
had...
I love the stream. I love beans.
Oh, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, continue. I was just listening through, like trying to filter through all of them. Anyways, continue, okay. Alex.
I don't remember what I was. Okay. I'll start over from the beginning. Okay, so there's some shows that are going to be happening on Hulu that I really want to watch, and so I don't have a Hulu right now. And I also wanted to get Disney Plus because there's some shows there that I want to see. I don't really watch ESPN, but nevertheless, I think it would be a really good deal. I plan on getting it, but I am just hearing from Matt now that Hulu might have ads.
I think I need to double check that. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that because then I may want to like reconsider because I don't know, like I really don't like ads in the middle of the show. But anyway, yeah, I think otherwise it would be really worth it. So yeah, I might get it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll double check for you guys. Leave a comment in the description. I'll pin a comment to double check if Hulu has ads. Not 100% sure. I do know that with the Spotify bundle that they do, where you can bundle Spotify and Hulu if you're a student, that and Hulu has ads. So yeah, like I said, I'll double check on that for you guys. Again, I'm not really sure what ESPN Plus is. I've heard of it. I've seen it on the app. So if you guys would like to maybe give some more detail into what ESPN Plus is, then that would be awesome. Because I know they have some original programming. I think Kobe Bryant has a TV show with LeBron James, I think. Anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our second bit of news from the peak. Here, this is very interesting, kind of a coincidence actually. I was watching Alex's Matterhorn video the other day, and then I see a couple days later this article pops up from the OC Register. A chunk of the Matterhorn breaks off of the coaster. This happened on the 8th of August, so a few days ago. I'm going to go ahead and quote from the OC Register. Quote, during overnight maintenance, a portion of decorative artwork, or I guess rockwork, was found to be in need of repair, which we were working quickly to make, Disneyland officials said in a statement. A graveyard shift maintenance crew discovered the fallen rockwork. Nobody was injured, thankfully. The plaster chunk did not fall on the coaster track, so that sort of makes me think it fell into one of the walkways or into one of the planters surrounding the Matterhorn. But Alex, since you just put out your Matterhorn video a few days ago, what are your thoughts on this very interesting topic?
So I was just telling Matt that I thought it was really hilarious that, here I just put out a video explaining how the interior rockwork was done and made out of plaster and stuff like that, explaining how it was constructed and stuff. And I was explaining, the care taken into making sure it was strong. Yeah. And then literally 2 days later, they put out this article about a piece of plaster the size of a door falling off. Yeah. And so Um, yeah. So basically, to explain how the plaster is put up, it was done a lot like the rock work on the exterior, which was made of concrete. What they did was they created a basic shape out of steel, and then from there they attached a type of rebar and steel mesh framework that created the basic shape of the interior icy caverns. They mounted that to the steel framework, and then plastering over the steel mesh with 3 layers of plaster. The first layer was to solidify the plaster into the steel mesh to make it into one rigid structure. Then the second layer of plaster kind of added more of a rocky shape. And the third layer of plaster, or icy shape, I mean, the third layer of plaster was made more for aesthetics. It was carefully smoothed out to make it look like ice. Now, the idea is it should be strong because it's been, the first layer has been meshed into the steel mesh. But you see, plaster is not like concrete. It doesn't have those strong chemical bonds the way concrete has. Plaster is softer. It's, if you can imagine a stick of chalk, plaster is maybe 3 times stronger than chalk, but as you know, you can snap a piece of chalk pretty easily. So something that's 3 times stronger than that is still snappable by the human hand. Now, you try to take the same piece of chalk made of concrete, it'll be a lot harder to snap that, almost nearly impossible. Anyway, so plaster, because of this, it has the problem where any kind of flexing would cause it to develop little fine cracks in it, which will then eventually break off, which is why you see in like old houses, especially like, the idea of the haunted house, that the walls are cracking and you can see beneath it is this wood lathe. And that's why it's just, plaster doesn't do good with flexing. So I kind of think what caused this huge chunk to break off was not just age, actually. I think this last earthquake we had in July probably started some cracks from the flexing. And then from there, just the sheer weight of the heavy plaster was enough to slowly increase the cracking to the point where a whole piece just fell off. And now that we see this huge piece fall off, more could fall off.
Yeah.
So have fun, bobsledders.
Yeah, that sort of brings up the question. I don't want to touch too deep into this topic, but that sort of brings up the question, are they going to have to repair the entire Matterhorn, maybe tear it down, tear off the plaster in the future, in the coming years, if this problem continues to happen? I'm sure Alex could have a detailed answer to that, but we'll save that for another episode, because I don't want to touch too deep into that, because we do have a lot of amazing topics that I'd like to get into. But moving on to our final bit of news from the peak. I couldn't find another post worthy to include here for News from the Peak, so I just decided that we'd wish everybody would wish the Haunted Mansion a happy 50th anniversary. So, happy birthday to the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, that's all I have for this. That's all I have for this part of the topic. But I do know there was some really neat Haunted Mansion merchandise that was released this past week. So if you guys are into that, link in the description to the Disney Parks website, I guess. Yeah, I couldn't find another post worthy to include here. So yeah, happy birthday to the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, anyways, that's the wrong sound effect again. Sorry, everybody. I meant to put party horn. Happy birthday to the Haunted Mansion. Anyways, before we get into our main topics, there is a small detail I would like to tell everybody here. I recently got some art drawn up for, I'm not going to say Snapple, because I don't want to get sued by Disney, or not by Disney, by Dr. Pepper. So I'm going to say I recently got some Matt Snaps artwork drawn up for some t-shirts and for stickers and for some pins. So link will be in the description. They're really cute. It's a really cute design. Of course, artist credit here. Not really sure how to pronounce Elena. Yeah, the @ will be in the description.
Isn't that how you pronounce Elena?
Yeah, no, I was thinking of like the username that they use. I couldn't pronounce that, but I just realized here, Elena is her name. So yeah, big shout out to her on Twitter. Follow her. She does some amazing art. She did the other pieces of artwork that are up on the shop as well. Really cute colors. I recently bought the yellow one. I don't know if I can rock a yellow t-shirt or not, but I guess we're going to find out once it gets here. There's also hoodies and sweatshirts. I tried to make them as cheap as possible because I know Teespring likes to hike up the prices with like hoodies are like $40 almost on Teespring for some reason, so I brought it down to $30. I'll lower. Well, if you guys use code BEANS, you can get 15% off your order. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be ordering pins next Friday once I get paid. So yeah, pins of this artwork, as well as stickers. It's gonna be really awesome. We're gonna have a big launch day party, I guess, for the pins when they come out. But yeah, just felt like I'd let you guys know about that. And now moving on. Let's go ahead and give a rundown of what kind of main topics we're going to be talking about today. For our first topic, Disney is set to announce, quote-unquote, something special at D23, and we're going to predict what that is going to be. That's going to be our first topic. For our second topic, the map and layout have been revealed for Marvel Land in DCA. For our third and final topic, we're going to go in-depth on Disney's quarterly report, from the theme parks to the films, and discuss what impact the earnings will have. I'm excited to get into that. But before we move on, we do have a voicemail here from Matt about Disney. So let's go ahead and listen to this. This is about the Hulu bundle, Disney Plus Hulu bundle. So let's go ahead and give this a listen. Again, work in progress, this whole segment here. So let's go ahead and give this a listen.
What's going on, Matt Maniacs? Welcome back to the Matt. Oh, sorry, wrong show. About the Netflix and the Hulu stuff. I just want to say I have Hulu now and I have Netflix too. Yeah, I'm one of those people. But the fact that Hulu's putting out this deal with Disney Plus, which is definitely a service I was planning on getting anyway, means I'll probably cancel Netflix. Not to mention the fact that Netflix is dropping Friends and The Office, so I pretty much have no reason to have that service anyway. But the fact that Disney is pricing out this bundle the way that they are, which is pretty much comparable to Netflix, which is one service, and then 3 services combined is $12.99. I think that this is definitely going to hurt Netflix, and Netflix as a company is going to have to take a different approach.
Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, he says bye there at the end. Yeah, we sort of touched on that last week as well, but I've been sort of thinking whether or not I should cancel. Oh my god, I just kicked something and my camera turned off. Okay, anyways, it's all just going to crap, you guys. I was trying to decide whether or not I should cancel Netflix because, like he said, they're going to be dropping Friends and The Office. I don't watch Friends. I'm more about The Office. But yeah, that is a very neat point to bring up. Thank you for our first call-in ever, Matt about Disney. Thank you for giving us that wonderful insight. And now here for our main topic. I don't really know what to make of this. Alex is laughing for some reason. Yeah, bruh sound effect 1 because my camera turned off. Disney is set to announce a quote-unquote special project on August 22nd at 1:30 p.m. Now, this is worth noting that this will not be during the Parks and Resorts panel, which is on Sunday the 25th. So that may or may not mean that it's not going to be Disney Parks related, but yeah, we'll get into that. We figured it'd be fun to throw out some predictions for what we think will be announced. This won't be us predicting the entirety of the D23 lineup. If you want to see videos like that, I'd highly recommend watching DSMY Newscast's previous 2 videos he did on the topic. He did a prediction video on the Parks and Resorts panel, as well as the films panel that they're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and start off with Mr. Alex, the historian. Sort of a small topic here, but what do you think will be announced by Disney here for their quote-unquote special project? Because it does say secret Walt Disney Company project. So that doesn't necessarily mean it could be for the theme parks, but I don't know. You never know.
So, my prediction, before I tell you what it is, because we got to draw out this topic so we can fill in the show. No, I'm just kidding. So I kind of went through a deduction of reasoning in order to figure out what it might be. Now, the company does make announcements about, movie projects or sometimes buyouts and things like that, or like sometimes they might announce, oh, we're going to build a new ship for the Disney Cruise Line, that kind of thing. But by deduction of reasoning, being that lately Disney has just been open with their announcements about movies and stuff with the studio, so they wouldn't really save that for D23 unless it was a huge movie. And things like announcements of building ships and things, again, not really big for D23. So by deduction of reasoning, I believe it has to be about the parks. And based off of what I have heard in the past, not about predictions, but this was just stuff that might be going on in the parks in the future, I have decided that my prediction of this huge announcement will be a complete redo of Tomorrowland. And the reason
fancy.
why what
fancy.
Oh, so the reason why I think that just is because a couple episodes ago, maybe like 5 or something like that, I was talking about how some insiders that I know were discussing, how soon the Tomorrowland project will be, because it's coming, but no one knew exactly when. But some people I know have felt that the project was being pushed forward because of the fact that, Tomorrowland represents a major profit for the company. A profit that is currently untapped. So they are really going to want to push this forward, redo it, especially after the opening of Galaxy's Edge. Now, Galaxy's Edge, by all means, is successful, but the thing is they're going to want to increase the capacity of the park so they can keep filling the park with more people. And the way you do that is you build more rides, more buildings, more things for people to go into to increase the capacity. So that is my prediction for D23. Matt, how about you?
Well, I'd have to agree with Alex. I know I'm supposed to make my own prediction, but I would agree with Alex that announcing the Tomorrowland redo would warrant its own special hour, I guess, outside of the Parks and Resorts panel. Alex did. I'd like to note that Alex, last night when we were discussing these topics, he sent me another prediction that he had, and he was kind of a off the rails one. He predicted that 2D animation would be coming back, and that's what the announcement would be. Alex is looking very confused right now.
Because I was just joking.
Oh, were you joking? Oh, okay.
It was a complete joke.
Okay.
It's supposed to be such a ridiculous assumption that you would find it funny.
Okay. Well, I was under the assumption that was your backup prediction then. Never mind.
No.
Anyways, moving on. I would agree that Tomorrowland would be, like I said, it warrants its own hour to announce outside of the Parks and Resorts panel. I do agree that Tomorrowland is in desperate need of a revamp. I think everybody here will agree to that as well. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say something different since Alex already said Tomorrowland. I'm going to say Third Gate. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say a Fantasyland revamp. I couldn't necessarily think of anything else that's not theme park related. What other big news could Disney announce besides, buying Fox? That's already way in the past. and I don't really think they'd announce that at a fan convention anyways. I couldn't really pinpoint something that would be announced like that, so we're gonna stick to the parks here. I'll predict that a new Fantasyland expansion will come back. Will be announced at this panel. I don't really know what it will detail, what it will entail. It could most likely be a Frozen expansion, although I'd like Beauty and the Beast. My second prediction is going to be Disney announces Disney 2. Thanks to Matt about Disney in the chat for that one. Stitch's Great Escape Reborn. No, please, no. Yeah, so that's that for that. If you guys have any questions you'd like to chime in, any predictions of yourself, go ahead and give that Google Voice number a call. Maybe we should give the Google Voice number a nickname. What would be like a cool telegraph? Would that what's like a communication device they use on the Swiss Alps of the Matterhorn? Would a telegraph be? I don't know. Anyways, moving on to our second topic we have here. Very interesting, I guess is what you could say. This comes from He Who Must Not Be Named and Today News Today. WDW News Today have revealed the map and layout of Marvel Land at DCA. And we're only going to briefly touch on this because we have a lot more important and exciting topics to talk about later in the show. According to this, there will be, of course, the Spider-Man attraction, an Ant-Man brewery, a Doctor Strange show, web suppliers, and the Avengers gift shop, which both of those I'm presuming will be shops for merchandise. T-shirts, Spider-Man, at the web suppliers, Avengers gift shop. Of course, you have your Marvel, various other Marvel-themed merchandise. Yeah, Alex, what are your thoughts on this big announcement by He Who Must Not Be Named about the map and layout of Marvel Land at DCA?
So I know his credibility is brought, to the surface several times, but I'm of the feeling that just because sometimes someone is incredible doesn't necessarily mean that they're not always credible. So
you mean
that they can't
uncredible?
Incredible.
Incredible?
I know incredible is used often for like something that's amazing, but the reason why they use it for amazing is because in means not, credible means believable. So not believable because it's so amazing.
Okay.
But
I was confused.
So the real word for someone who is not believable is someone who is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, well, thank you for. I was very confused. Thank you for clearing that up.
I'm also Alex, the English teacher, but no, I'm just kidding.
My mic was muted. I would have laughed.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out why you were so quiet. I'm like, wow, I don't think he thought that was funny. Yeah. Okay. Oh God. Okay. So this Marvel Land image, I think it's probably real. I think it's probably based off of factual information and stuff like that. It seems like something that Disney would do. And of course, it leaves space, as you can see, for the big parking lot where the next really big e-ticket attraction will go for Marvel Land Phase 2, which I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, some of those walkways are backstage walkways, though it doesn't show a separation between the guest walkway and the backstage walkway. So it's really hard to tell which ones are which, but I know which ones are which based off of where Disney backstage is. So I know it, just have to trust me on this, but the two striped walkways that go down towards that parking lot, those two that come to that point are backstage. And I believe they are on either side of a ride entrance queue building. So that's what it looks like to me, is that looks like a ride entrance queue building right there, and two backstage walkways are on either side, or one on either side of it. The other reason why I believe those two are backstage walkways is because the one that faces east looks directly at the backside of the tower, or the Guardians of the Galaxy tower, and the rest of the backstage where the new show building would be. And then the one facing south towards Cars Land, that one looks directly at the backstage air pumps for the old flying tires, and has a perfect view of the inner workings of the mountain range. So those would those two little walkways that come to that point would definitely be backstage walkways. So yeah, that's kind of like my idea of what the layout is. And then of course there's a walkway that branches off behind the Spider-Man building that's also backstage. So that's kind of what that's what I see when I look at this, at least. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it is sort of interesting that WDW News Today, of all the news sources, have been dropping this many details about Marvel Land, because we haven't really necessarily seen any other news sites leak insider information like this about an upcoming land. I don't know if it's just they have this one insider of them maybe who just wants to get fired very badly and is just feeding them this information straight from the source, or if yeah, I don't know. It could be all fake. We touched on this a few weeks ago about whether or not that concept art could be fake. Still on the fence about that, by the way. Not confirmed or denied until we see an official announcement by Disney about the land, probably at D23. But yeah, it is very interesting. If you do look up here, where the I believe this area here is where the red car trolley goes, and I'm assuming, Alex, you said the striped parts of the map were walkways, correct?
Yes, the striped parts of the map are walkways, but once again, there's no definitive border between which one is a guest walkway and which one is backstage. Yeah.
Okay.
So some are backstage. There's probably a gate that will block the backstage walkways.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that makes some sense. But yeah, that is sort of interesting. The one walkway here goes right over the tracks of the red car trolley roundhouse. So I don't know if that maybe feeds into the theory that the red car trolley will turn left inside of Hollywoodland instead of right, because
you know what I think when I look at this? That the red car trolley roundhouse isn't going to move. I think that it will continue on in the exact same spot it will today, and there will just be a new backstage gate that blocks the views of the roundhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's theory number one. Theory number two, like I brought up, is the red car trolley turning left inside of Hollywood backlot instead of turning right down Sunset Guardians Mission Breakout area, because that is sort of the one outlier that we have as well with Marvel Land, is whether or not they're going to move the red car trolley or retheme it to something else Marvel themed, because it would be kind of strange to see the red car. I mean, it already is strange to see the red car trolley passing in front of Mission Breakout. So yeah, that is my one question that I'll have until this gets officially announced. Yeah, very interesting article to this will be linked in the description down below. But before we move on, we do have a quick message from T-Will here about the special announcement that will be revealed by Disney at D23. So let's go ahead and give this a listen.
Hello. Regarding the whole new secret Walt Disney Company project, I really don't think it will be Tomorrowland, because if it's Tomorrowland, especially an overhaul, I think they would throw it into the parks and the parks section. They wouldn't. They'd save it for that, and it'd be kind of big for that. It'd be a big announcement for the park panel and so forth. But something big for the whole company. Tomorrowland is pretty small in comparison. I think it will be tapping into the video game market, because there's been rumors of them kind of seeking out other video game companies, maybe even thoughts of purchasing. So I think something that would encompass the entire company, I think would involve something like a huge step into a market. And video games, since they're ever growing at an unprecedented rate in terms of popularity, I think they'll want to jump back into that market and try to really claim a good amount of territory. They want to claim good sales and good profits and the video game world. I don't think it's going to be Tomorrowland. I think I hedge my bets more on video games.
Okay, well that is sort of brings a fresh perspective other than Alex and I into that. That would kind of make sense since it's, like we said, it's not necessarily in the Parks and Resorts panel, and I have seen those rumors about Disney wanting to buy, what is it? It wasn't EA, it was one of those, medium-sized game companies, so that would make a lot of sense. Thank you to T-Will for bringing that to our attention. Alex, do you have any quick thoughts on T-Will's voice message here?
Wouldn't that fit under the Disney, what do you call it, entertainment department, like the home entertainment department, such as what used to be Disney Interactive and stuff like that? That's kind of what I'm wondering.
T-Will says Activision. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. But yeah, I don't know. This can go a lot of different ways, I feel like, because of course we brought our thoughts about it being about the parks, and then we have T-Will coming in about it not being about the parks. It really could be anything, because like I said, it's not billed, I don't believe, in any one core part of the D23, unless there's like a overall theme of the presentation that's going to be happening during that part, like whether or not it's the Parks and Resorts, or whether it's the entertainment movie aspect of the announcements they're going to do. I don't necessarily remember the times for the lineup and everything, but yeah, it is interesting. If you guys have any more thoughts on that, go ahead and leave some comments down below. And one last thing before we move on, someone pointed out in chat, let's see, Jay Etzel pointed out, if they were going to turn the red car trolley left, they would have already started working on that. That is a good point to bring up as well. We haven't really seen any work on moving the trolley tracks to make it turn left into the back lot. And of course, Marvel Land, I mean, they still have time, of course, but you'd think they might have probably started to work on that if they were going to indeed move that. But anyways, some food for thought before we move on to our third topic, right after we hear a word from our sponsors. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live, and since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. Alrighty, and we are back, and for our third and final topic, we saved the best for last, you guys. We got a picture of Bob Iger here and everything. Look at how handsome he is. Wow, pearly whites. Those are some white teeth, Mr. Iger, if you're watching. Please don't demonetize this video. For our final topic, we'd like to take a deep dive into Disney's third quarter earnings report from this that was recently published. Yeah, links to all the articles we're going to be referring to will be in the description down below, like I said. Also, of course, the link to the WaltDisneyCompany.com official website, the official report that we got a lot of this information from, will be in the description as well. Let's go ahead and start with the parks. There's a lot to get into here with the parks, so I might miss a few things along the way. If you guys do notice that I missed some things, go ahead and type in chat, comment down below. Of course, Alex, you can always interject if I miss something or if I get something wrong. I did have Alex read over these notes, though.
As always.
Yeah, as always. I did have Alex read over these notes, though, just to double check, because I'm not the best when it comes to understanding all this corporate talk nonsense. So a lot of this will be quotes directly from the WaltDisneyCompany.com report that they have, the PDF file. And then after the quotes, we'll sort of put it all into layman's terms about what all of this means for the future of, or I guess the near future of the parks and resorts. So let's start with the first quote. Quote, "Parks, experiences, and products revenues from the quarter increased 7% to $6.6 billion, and segment operating income increased 4% to $1.7 billion. Operating income growth for the quarter was due to increases at our customer products businesses, and Disneyland Paris, partially offset by a decrease at our domestic parks and resorts. Now, right off the bat, I'm sure you guys are bored out of your mind listening to all these nonsense words being thrown around. Believe me, I am too. I'm going to continue quoting on here, and then we'll get into, like I said, we'll put this all into context, sort of review it in layman's terms. Quote, the increase at our customer products business was due to our growth at merchandise licensing and retail businesses. Growth at merchandise licensing was primarily due to higher revenue from merchandise based on Toy Story, partially offset by a decrease from Star Wars merchandise. The decrease in operating income at our domestic parks and resorts was due to higher costs and lower volume, partially offset by increased average per capita guest spending. Higher costs were driven by labor and other cost inflation and expenses associated with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which opened at Disneyland Resort on May 31st. The decrease in volume was due to lower attendance, partially offset by higher occupied room nights. Guest spending growth was primarily due to higher average ticket prices and increased food, beverage, and merchandise spending. Now, to sort of wrap that all up, I know you guys having to listen through all that. Yeah, Alex is already yawning. I mean, I would...
It's tiring.
Yeah, I mean, all that... like I said, I'm not that good at all this kind of corporate speak, so let's go ahead and sum all that up. That's basically Disney confirming that attendance was lower than expected during the time Galaxy's Edge opened, or at least during that quarter, this past quarter, third quarter. To put this in layman's terms, Alex was nice enough to send me a short little review of this. An increase in local hotel prices and a hike in Disneyland ticket prices contributed to the low attendance, as well as opening Galaxy's Edge with one of its 2 planned attractions instead of opening both of its attractions. So right off the bat, Alex, what are your initial thoughts on all that mumbo-jumbo that Mr. Bob Iger presented to everybody?
So, I'm going to state a little bit of facts, and then I'm going to give my opinion at the end. So, what's happening here is that the company is starting off by saying overall, our income, not necessarily the profits, but the income has increased 6%. Though that increase is actually a lot larger. It's just that the costs have also gone up, which is normal. I mean, you built a brand new land, and you're earning money from it. But the thing is that it still costs a lot to start up this new land. So the amount of increase you just got is going to be partially offset by the cost, and you have to determine the percentage of increase from there. But if there was no cost of construction and stuff like that, the increase would look a lot bigger. So anyway, so that's what they're saying. There's also the information such as how the resort hotels are, their booking has increased by 88%, which is huge. That means a lot more people are booking hotels and rooms and stuff like that on and off property, as well as the fact that they're saying on the entertainment side of the business, when it comes to movies and things like that, overall, there is an increase in the amount of income and profit coming from that, but it's also offset by higher costs as well. And some of these divisions, such as 21st Century Fox and stuff like that, are underperforming. So,
which we'll touch on later on, just to point that out there.
Okay. So when it comes to the parks and Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that, I feel like, okay, so here's the thing about my opinion. Overall, they got more money. They got more income, and it's more income balanced with the offset of costs, which is fine. Overall, they're doing better than they were before. The problem that Disney has with it is, all right, we got people spending 10% more. Every person is spending 10% more out of their wallet at our parks. But the thing is there isn't as many people in the parks as we want. That doesn't mean there's not enough people to pay their costs. It just means that there's not as many people as they thought there would be in the parks. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, what does it feel like for you guys when you go to the parks on a day that isn't so busy? You love it, right? I mean, there's the lines are short, there's places to sit when you want to go to a restaurant to eat. Walking through the walkways is like slicing through butter. It's just really nice. It's a nice overall experience. And everyone else feels that way. People are much more positive about the park on that day. So what happens is you have this really nice return. And the best part is people are spending more money in the parks. They're buying more merchandise. They're eating more food. They're getting the Max Pass and the special stuff. It's beautiful. But a company is going to be a company. They're going to say, all right, well, our guests are satisfied and we're making more money than we were before. But, for every person that doesn't fill a seat on the ride, that doesn't matter. That's money that we didn't make. And so while I've been saying all these months, possibly even 2 years now, that the company is trying to price out people so that way there's less people filling the parks in order to get a better overall experience for each guest, there's also the part where the company is like, well, we kind of don't want less people in the parks because that's just money we missed out on. So it's just frustrating to me because it's like, I just want to shake the Disney company and say, look, people are happy. They're loving your product. They are having the time of their lives because there is no overcrowding. But they still want overcrowding. It's like if Walt were alive, he would literally say, you know what? As long as we're making, more money than what we're spending, and as long as our people are happy and the things are on the up and up, it doesn't matter that the place isn't 100% full. So it's just yeah, that's my opinion. Sorry.
I guess my sort of perspective, because I don't necessarily understand, like I said, a lot of this corporate mumbo jumbo. I guess I'll save my thoughts, because we do have a lot more to get into that's still about the park. So I'll continue reading on from the article. Let's see. Touching more on Galaxy's Edge, Iger says, quote, interest in the attractions and the land is extremely high. We have no concerns whatsoever about them. We feel great about the product we created. It's just going to take some time for things to work themselves out in terms of how the marketplace is reacting. The decline in attendance at Disneyland Resort was primarily due to lower annual pass holder visitation as we managed to demand the first few weeks after opening Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in order to maintain a higher level of guest satisfaction, Disney CFO Christine McCarthy said. Now, I guess sort of Alex already touched on this, but the question I wanted to propose to Alex and to everybody else, what does this say about the future of Disneyland? Now, I guess it's worth noting that this is just the quarterly report. This isn't necessarily the overall, I guess, for the whole year, is that attendance was down the whole year. This is just for the third quarter. I feel like that is worth throwing in there. What does this say about the future of Disneyland? And also, I think it's time to sort of put to rest all the arguments people are having on Twitter about whether or not Galaxy's Edge is a failure, whether or not Galaxy's Edge is had lower attendance, or I guess Disneyland overall has had lower attendance, because we can agree now on this fact that Bob Iger himself has put out, that Galaxy's Edge was not a failure. It's just going to take a while for, like he said, the marketplace to react, is what he said. And he also, directly stated that the parks were emptier than they anticipated during that period when Galaxy's Edge opened. So I feel like we can sort of put that argument to rest, everybody on Twitter. You can stop arguing with your friends. Yes, Disneyland had a slow quarter this year. Not because Star Wars was a failure, but because, like Iger said, it's just going to take some time for people to react the way they are going to for Galaxy's Edge. Because, of course, we've been saying this for years. Galaxy's Edge is a brand new land brought to Disneyland. Sort of scared away a lot of people during the opening with the whole reservations kind of stuff. But yeah, Alex, what do you think this says about the future of Disneyland? And I know I'll interject one more time. We did talk about this a few weeks ago about how with Galaxy's Edge, making the park so low, there would be budget cuts in the future. We've already seen those budget cuts taking place. We reported on a few weeks ago. But what do you think this will say about the future, or at least the very near future, year and a half of Disneyland?
Okay, so I think that for the company's near future, great, I'm yawning. Okay, so I think that for the company's near future, what this means is that is that instead of blocking out annual pass holders for the opening of a new land or a major ride, they're going to just decide to keep the annual passes unblocked. Because as Iger was saying, and what everybody knows, is that the reason why the parks weren't crowded was because everybody was blocked out, even the cast members. And so that was the main reason why nobody showed up. I mean, the company forgot this is Disneyland in California. Who goes to Disneyland California? Mostly locals. And the locals that do come often have annual passes. So you block out the people who come to Disneyland, and no one comes to Disneyland. So I think that when they open the new Marvel Land Phase 1 and Phase 2, they're going to opt to make sure that annual passes are unblocked. I think that any new rides, shows, or attractions in the near future, at least, they're going to opt to keep everybody unblocked and try to let as many people into the park as possible. It might be better for the company to have overcrowding than to have undercrowding, because look at what it's done. It's one thing to have people say, oh, Disneyland's too popular, but it's another thing for all these Disney fans to be saying, oh, Disneyland is failing. There's stuff that's failing. Galaxy's Edge is failing. It's like, oh, it's not. So, yes. So I think, save me, Matt.
Yeah. Like I said, we can finally put all that nonsense to rest. I'm glad Bob Iger went out and addressed it the way he did at this quarterly earnings report. He didn't beat around the bush at all. He went straight to the point, which I'm sure he has to, I guess. He's talking to all the shareholders and everybody. They'd like to be in the loop with everything. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. But yeah, very proud of Mr. Bobby for saying it how it is. Yes, the parks weren't as busy as we thought they would be, but we don't think it's because Galaxy's Edge is a failure. It's just going to take some time for people to adjust to all that kind of stuff, Someone said, I believe it was Michael Eisner said that they're going to be playing it more safe in the future. Yeah, Disney might play it much safer in the future, which is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. I really don't see Marvel Land as being this sort of big extravaganza that they made out Galaxy's Edge to be. I don't think that's what they were going for in the beginning when they were going to be, when they were first conceiving Marvel Land. Maybe they were in the back of their heads thinking this can be DCA's, Galaxy's Edge. We can market this to heck. Everybody will show up. Who doesn't like Marvel? That's probably what they had in the back of their mind. And now I'm pretty sure Marvel Land is not necessarily going to be as up to par as it is with Galaxy's Edge. So, it'll be interesting to see the way that they handle the marketing for that.
You know what I'm interested in seeing?
What?
So, I think we can all agree that when it comes to the fully immersive worlds that Disney builds, you often see them incorporated either at Walt Disney World or overseas. It hasn't really been done with Disneyland. And then when Galaxy's Edge opened, it's almost like a little bit of Florida came to Disneyland. And
yeah.
Cars Land was one of those fully immersive places, but when you think about it, Cars Land was pretty easy when it came to fully immersive. I mean, they're buildings, Disney's built buildings before, but
Yeah.
look at Galaxy's Edge. It's like even the buildings are not necessarily something that looks like it's from Earth. So, and then of course with the massive rock work and the forests and stuff like that, it's on a level that surpasses Cars Land.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, will the company continue to build these fully immersive worlds at Disneyland now, or will they not, based off of how well Galaxy's Edge did in this first quarter and in this coming quarter?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering.
Yeah, because I believe, I can't remember where I heard this from. I heard this a long time ago, that Marvel Land was supposed to be on par with Galaxy's Edge, theming-wise, immersivity. I don't think that's a word. Immersiveness-wise, thank you. That's probably, it still sounds wrong, but anyways. From what I've heard, I can't remember. I wish I could remember where I heard this from, but that's just what I remember hearing in a podcast we did a long time ago. Marvel Bland, says Michael Eisner. That's a good one. And now we sort of see with these plans that have been quote-unquote leaking by all these news sources out there about the Spider-Man attraction being just a reskin of Toy Story Midway Mania. There's no Avengers roller coaster, which was rumored to come to both Disneyland and to California Adventure and Disneyland Paris. They might be saving that for Phase 2, but nonetheless, they are still deciding to open Marvel Land in 2 phases, I guess. But yeah, I really don't think Disney is going to... Immersion, says BBQ Head, thank you. I really don't think Disney is going to be touting Marvel Land as this quote-unquote Galaxy's Edge of DCA. I don't think Disney necessarily cares as much about Marvel in the parks, which is sad. As you've already seen with Mission Breakout, just a slap, just silly retheme instead of an original attraction. I guess we'll see. I'm excited. I love Marvel. I'm excited to see what Disney does with the properties in the parks. But yeah, I am a little worried that it's just going to be this cheap demolish Bugs Land. Oh, but they're building a whole bunch of bug-themed superhero attractions in the former Bugs Land area. So it's just kind of, what is their plan? I feel like we haven't really heard their plan, which I'm hoping we're going to hear at D23. But anyways, moving on to the second half of this topic, which is about the film studios. Now, this is something I'm more excited to get into. And if you guys have any thoughts you'd like to leave, you can, of course, leave a voicemail, 575-386-5814. We'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this topic. Now we're going to be moving on, like I said, to the film studios. Bob Iger, or I guess Disney, has confirmed that big changes are coming to Fox. Excuse me, that was a burp. I'd like to go more in depth about Disney's acquisition with Fox and how it has impacted this previous quarterly earnings report. Before the merger, Fox had 276 films, quote unquote, in development. Now, in development, for those movie people who don't necessarily know what that means, if a movie is in development, it means there's not necessarily any money being put into the movie. It means someone has an idea, they pitched it to the studio execs, they say, that's a good idea, we're going to make this movie, doesn't have a release date, doesn't have a director attached to it, doesn't have any actors attached to it, it's in development, no script necessarily for it. When it gets into a pre-production, is when you actually have people being casted for the movie's directors signing on to direct, scripts being actually written. In development is just sort of the beginning baby steps phase of making a movie. Like I said, they had 276 films in development, Fox did, before the merger. Disney Chief Financial Officer Christine McCarthy revealed that Fox was at an operating loss of $170 million for the quarter, and that it performed, quote, well under our expectations, unquote. Disney stated that the loss was mainly due to the poor performance of X-Men Dark Phoenix, which only grossed 65, I almost said 655, $65 million domestic on a $200 million budget. They didn't even make half of what they put into the movie, production-wise, marketing-wise. Iger said that he had assigned Alan Horn and Alan Bergman to apply the, quote, same discipline and creative standards to the Fox division. This, in turn, means tossing the majority of the projects that Fox had in development before the merger. Disney announced that they were, this is a quote directly from them, Disney announces that they are, quote, scrapping all Fox theatrical films, unquote, in development, except Avatar, Planet of the Apes, and anything Fox Searchlight is going to be making. They're going to be making, indie movies for Disney Plus, as well as, I believe they're making what is it, that race car movie with, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. There's a really interesting post on Reddit that will be linked below that details every single film that was in pre-production that Disney canned. Again, that's 276 films that have either been put on the shelf for a later date or have been canned altogether. Movies scrapped include a Magic the Gathering movie. You guys are going to notice a lot of trends with this. They're all awful ideas for movies, which I'm sure you guys are going to be. You guys are going to be glad they're canceling them. But yeah, these are the noteworthy movies that are being canned. After Bob Iger made this announcement, a Magic the Gathering movie, a Sims movie based on the popular hit video game, which will just make a great movie. A McDonald's Monopoly true story crime thriller from Ben Affleck. I believe that's based on a true crime thing that happened in real life. I don't know. A Chronicle sequel, a Sandlot prequel, Pink Panther, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen reboots, a Flash Gordon reboot from Taika Waititi, 2 movies starring Sacha Baron Cohen and Jim Carrey, 2 projects by Matt Reeves, 2 by Drew Goddard, and one's Tim Miller, David Ayer, Jason Segel, I think, I don't know, and Jason Segel, and yeah, thank you, and Carrie Fakangma, I don't know that word at all, I'm sorry, and lots of Sean Levy and Paul Feig movies, have all been canned. They also stated, quote, it will take a solid year, maybe 2 years, before we can have an impact on the films in production. We're all confident that we're going to turn around the results of Fox live action, Iger said. Now, this is a lot of detail about the Disney-Fox merger and how that has sort of panned out for Disney. This begs the question, was acquiring Fox a mistake by Disney? Sure, some people scream and shout, including myself, about the X-Men coming to the MCU, but that's sort of just ignoring the entire other argument that's being made. Seeing all these films being scrapped by Disney, not just these crappy reboots, these prequels, Sandlot prequel, I mean, who wants to see a Sandlot prequel or a Sims movie? Those are all terrible ideas for movies. But even the smaller indie movies that were quote-unquote in development, which, like I said, you can see all of these films in the Reddit post that I'll link in the description down below. All those films made by, maybe smaller directors are being canned in favor of, what did they say? They're only going to be moving forward with the Avatar sequels, Planet of the Apes movies, which I guess they're making more of those, and the Fox Searchlight movies. Sort of squashing out all the hopes of all these smaller filmmakers who were signed on for Fox to produce this movie, to direct this movie before Disney came in and bought them. That's sort of like a crushing, dream come true crush. Like I said, that begs the question, was acquiring Fox by Disney a mistake? Alex, what are your overall thoughts on all this information revealed by Bob Iger?
Well, I think that it's a good idea that Disney just threw everything out. Because the thing is that they were This was a list not created by Disney. These lists of movies was created before Disney bought them, and it was all stuff that was in line. The problem is that Fox for the last 2 decades has been like slowly sputtering out. And they've produced a few really good hits, which has kept them in business. But overall, their little movies, the smaller, not so big blockbusters, is what I call the bread and butter movies, because it's just the little thing that keeps them going. Those haven't been doing so well, and they haven't been making very good ones. And so when you don't have anything to give you the bread and butter between the big paychecks, it's like you can't keep a business like that. So Disney saw that, and with this Dark Phoenix movie not doing very well, it really shook Disney, going, you know what, this is one of those big features, and that didn't do well. It's like, okay, this has to change then. And so they only kept that small number of movies because those ones are almost guaranteed to make a ton of money. I mean, Avatar, stuff like that. So those are guaranteed to make money. But they threw out the rest, and it's because Disney goes, we know how to make movies. We know how to make even the bread and butter movies good. Disney knows how to make movies, especially the little tiny features that are going to make them some money in between the big features. And so they're going to come up with a better line of movies. And honestly, the only thing that was keeping Fox alive all this time was just the movies in the past that they did, the franchises in the past, such as Star Wars, that kept them afloat and stuff like that. So I think that we're going to see some better movies from now on coming from Fox. Maybe not all of them better. I mean, we know that Disney sometimes makes bad movies. But nevertheless, I think overall, the average is going to start increasing its quality. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's and look at the list of movies that they canceled. It's like awful.
Yeah, like I was saying, the Magic the Gathering movie, I'm very interested if someone has more details on what the McDonald's Monopoly true story crime thriller from Ben Affleck, what the real life story behind that was. Because I'm assuming, I saw a comment on Reddit about how it was a true crime story that happened at a real life McDonald's. I'm very interested in seeing what that is. If any of you have more details on that, please comment or type in chat, whichever. But yeah, I do, sadly I agree with Alex. I do think it is a good idea for Disney to can a lot of these movies because, like he said, X-Men Dark Phoenix bombed at the box office. And when I say bombed, I mean bombed. It did really bad at the box office. The movie was terrible. And that did really put a big hit. I wonder, it sort of begs the question if Disney was sort of preparing for that, because I'm sure they've had to have seen a cut of the movie while they were in the purchase of acquiring 21st Century Fox, and I'm sure, some movie higher up from Disney was watching that cut of the film and was thinking, God, this is awful. This is going to lose us a lot of money once this purchase goes through. So I'm just wondering if they were sort of planning on the back end for that movie to flop. So yeah, it's sort of interesting question to bring up. But yeah, I do feel like it's just sort of weird. I don't know. It's just sort of weird to see all these films. Of course, some terrible films. I mean, Pink Panther reboot, Sandlot prequel, no one wants to see those. But I'm sure there were some smaller films that some director who, it's his first movie, he signed with Fox to make his movie about, I don't know, global warming in the US. I don't know, just a random thought right off the top of my head. And he really had a lot of passion in making this movie, informing the public about that. And then now Disney comes in, he signs the deal with Fox before Disney buys Fox. Now Disney comes in, swoops in, buys Fox, and says to this director, we're canceling your movie because it's not going to make us enough money to get a return on our profits that we spent to buy Fox. I feel like if you look at it from the perspective of not just us consumers who go to see these movies, because, like I said, no one's going to go to see a Magic the Gathering movie. No one's going to see a Sims movie. But instead, if you look at it from the perspective of, not even the higher-ups, the execs like Bob Iger or the other, execs who are in charge of all this kind of stuff. If you look at it from the perspective of these directors who have a lot of passion behind their movies, who finally have an outlet to tell the story that they've been wanting to tell. Maybe they've had this movie idea in their head since they were a kid, and they finally have enough money to pitch this movie to some exec at Fox, and they say, all right, we're going to roll the dice on this film. You can direct this film. And then Disney comes in, this big conglomerate Disney comes in, swoops in, and just tears that dream away from him. I don't know. It's just sort of interesting if you look at it from both sides, I guess, of the coin, because I do agree that it's a good idea business-wise for Disney to cancel all these movies, because obviously they're not going to make any money. They're not going to get a return on their profits from buying Fox. If they release all these crappy movies, that's not going to make any money. But then again, like I said, these smaller directors might have had a lot of passion behind all these movies that they were going to make. Maybe, just maybe, the McDonald's Monopoly true crime story thriller from Ben Affleck would have been the breakout year. Oscar winner, Best Picture, made billions of dollars worldwide. And now Ben Affleck is going to go cry in his 15-room house in Beverly Hills because he can't make his money. You guys know what I'm getting at. I'm being sarcastic, but you guys know what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, Alex, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think I said everything.
Okay. Well, let's see. Someone did post something here in chat about that Ben Affleck movie. Let me see if I can find it. I swear I just saw it. True story of the head of security for McDonald's Monopoly stealing, winning tickets, and selling them to the highest bidder. So I guess that's sort of the premise, real-life premise of what Ben Affleck was going to, or I don't know if he was going to direct it or star in it, but what that movie was going to be about. That
sounds boring.
I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily the true crime stuff that we like to hear. But yeah, we do have a few voicemails that I'd like to get to. One of them from Ethan. Let's go ahead and play this through. This is about I believe this is about the Fox that we've just been talking about. So let's take a listen.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I just kind of want to weigh in on the Fox Searchlight, this whole Disney thing. This is my concern from the beginning of Fox. It's the fact that with Fox coming in, we're going to see a lot less of the small, interesting films. Three to come to mind. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, and then Old Man with the Gun. Mm-hmm. All those, I believe, are Fox Searchlight. And as much as Disney's keeping Fox Searchlight, I don't want, especially with Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, those are great Wes Anderson films, and I don't think Disney will ever even allow those anymore. Not because they're racy and inappropriate, it's because they just have things that I don't think Disney would really want in their films, like they replace cuss words with the word cuss and stuff. And that's not bad. I think it's really fun and lighthearted and a great decision by Wes Anderson. But I think Disney doesn't even want that on their agenda now. So it's frustrating because with Fox, acquisition of Fox, we're going to get a lot mellowed down of The Simpsons. They're going to cut that down probably to family friendly. And it's basically going to be what Disney wants, which means we're going to get a lot less industry films like Old Man with a Gun, which was a really wonderful film, a really indie-style film, which I don't think we're going to see as many indie-style films anymore because a big company like Disney has a hold on it. So, not the end of the world, it's frustrating because, the classic stop motions like Isle Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox are just going to be swept under the rug now, I think. We're not going to see one of those for a long time because Disney has control over it in their humongous company. Not to say Fox is not huge, but Disney's not going to allow as many small filmmakers anymore, I don't think, but that's my thoughts. At least Hulu is coming to Disney Plus with the bundle. That's good at least, but, thanks for listening.
All right, well, thank you, Ethan. A really amazing insight from someone who watches these smaller indie films. I don't necessarily watch those, he was talking about Isle of Dogs, Wes Anderson. I'm not really a big fan of those, indie-style movies. Occasionally I'll go out to see one of them, but I do know that there is a market for those kinds of movies. I believe one of them, I don't think this was Fox. I can't remember the name of the movie, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip over what I was going to say. But yeah, really great insight from Ethan. Thank you. like I said, I do know that they detailed in the article that they were going to keep producing all the movies planned for Fox Searchlight, which, like he said, was that indie sort of smaller budget indie directors, indie movies division of Fox. And I believe Bob Iger said that they were also going to be producing movies from Fox Searchlight for Disney Plus. So that may or may not have an impact on what future movies come out. I don't really know. But yeah, I do. I agree with him about all these smaller indie directors not necessarily getting a shot to make their movies. I mean, I'm sure in the coming years, once Disney does eventually get their return back on buying Fox, then maybe they'll flip the switch the other way. Maybe they'll bring on in more indie directors to come direct these smaller movies that they want for Fox. Because obviously Disney's not going to produce a Wes Anderson type film. They'll save that for Fox. But I guess the other side is I guess these movie makers can always go to smaller movie houses, like A23 I think is one of them, that makes a lot of indie movies, a lot of horror movies as well. Yeah, really, thank you Ethan for chiming in here, and I believe we have one more. Alex, do you have anything you'd like to add to Ethan's message there before we move on?
No.
Okay, but excuse me. Before we move on, I believe this was from either John Lasseter in chat or Michael Eisner. I think Michael Eisner was Ethan, so I think this one's from John Lasseter in chat. So we'll take a listen. This is about his prediction about the what's going to be announced, the secret announcement that's going to happen at D23. So let's take a listen here.
So in referring to what was going on with the whole announcement, I believe that Toontown is going to get revamped and going to get changed, and that's because they're doing Mickey's Runaway Railroad, and with that, Toontown just feels a bit outdated, a bit out of place, and I feel that there could be some sort of change there, and maybe they do a kind of there was a Yesterday review that talked about the Mickey's birthday celebration that used to be there. Maybe something that pays homage to the old, Steamboat Willie and the old cartoons, something of that nature, because Toontown definitely feels a bit out of place and not a very popular land. I could see them with Mickey's Runaway Railroad changing that and creating a whole new land around it. Thanks.
Again, I believe that was John Lasseter in chat, the one and only Mr. Feel It Around, John Lasseter, Crazy Hands, John Lasseter. Inappropriate, bad joke. Sorry about that. But yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. That is an interesting theory, sort of in line with our Parks and Resorts, Tomorrowland kind of stuff. Alex he's just starstruck by what I just said. I can't think of the right word, but
I couldn't believe it. Oh.
Mr. Lasseter, if you're watching, I like your movies. That's all I have to say. Yeah, that is another interesting prediction to throw in the ring. We'll add that to our list. First, Toontown. Or first is Tomorrowland revamp. Second, maybe Fantasyland. Third, we have T-Will's prediction of a buying out, or I guess announcement of a new game division. Fourth, here we have, thanks to John Lasseter, we have a Toontown revamp. These are all really great ideas. I'd love to hear what you guys think as well down in the description and the comments below. I do agree that Toontown is in need of a big refurbishment in light of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I believe that's opening in 2021 or 2022. Around that time, I believe, is when that's opening. So they still have a little bit of time to work out that whole concept behind how they want to revamp Toontown, if they even will. And, before eventually putting that to action and closing down Toontown for a year, maybe redoing it. Bad hands, John. Bad hands, Lasseter. Anyways, finally, I'd like to close this episode. We have a comment here in chat by Wiley Humphrey, I believe. Regardless of Disney's ownership, I think we will see Fox and their entertainment brand continue unfettered. Maybe Disney, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Maybe Disney will utilize their IP in new ways, but they'll continue with the quote-unquote indie. He's not talking about Indiana Jones, that's for sure. Smaller indie films. We'll see. I did detail in the past about how I'm excited to see how this future pans out next coming years, what kind of impact this will have on the entertainment industry, as you may call it. I mean, we're already seeing, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus getting bundled for $12.99, very competing price for Netflix. That's already sort of the first shockwaves we're going to be seeing about this Fox merger, about this whole entertainment shift from Disney. Now, of course, all these movies are getting canned. Disney canned all these Fox movies. We'll see in the future. I'm excited, like I said. Not necessarily that it's a good thing that Disney is buying Fox. That's not necessarily a good thing for the entertainment industry, but I'm excited to see what kind of impact it has, because I'm a big fan of movies. I like to watch movies. I'm a big fan of TV shows as well, and I believe the Bob's Burger movie that was in development at Fox is still up in the air. So Disney, if you cancel that Bob's Burger movie, I will come to your house, Mr. Bob Iger, and I will poop on your lawn, Bob Iger. You heard it here first. A big steamy dump right on your front porch. Just kidding. I love you, Bob. If he's listening, probably not. Anyways, I believe that is going to wrap up this week's episode of Matterhorn Mondays. Alex, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to say before we close the show?
So you're saying that you'll give him a big steaming dump if he doesn't deliver your big steaming dump?
Oh my gosh. Alex got me there. Laugh track. We don't use enough laugh track on the show. We're going to be, moving forward, we'll use more, including the bruh. Oops, I pushed it twice by accident. Anyways, yeah. Thank you all to coming out. Thank you to everybody who came watch the show live. Of course, we live stream every Saturday, 4 p.m. Disneyland time, except this week, a little bit earlier, 11 p.m. Disneyland time. If you guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you go on my second channel, my streams channel, I believe if you click, because I schedule these in advance, at least 3 or 4 days in advance. So you'll see if you go on my profile, Matterhorn Matt Streams, link in the description. If you go on that YouTube channel, it should say like a little banner that says when the stream will be live. You can click, set a reminder. Good old Matt Brufingers. Because see, Alex, he was like typing. I saw him stretch over typing, and he was like looking around, waiting for me to react to something. Now I see. Good old Matt Brufingers. Anyways, yeah, like I was saying, you should be able to see that. Because like I said, I schedule all the episodes, the live episodes, at least 3 or 4 days in advance. So if you're not sure if you're going to make it to the stream, go ahead and go over to my streams channel, and it'll most likely show when the date and time the show will be going live. I also tweet out every week. I like to give you guys as much of a heads up as I can. I'll tweet out whether or not the stream's going to be at the normal 4 p.m. time, or like today it was at 11, because I have a wedding to go to later today. If you guys didn't know, I'm getting married to Bob Iger, so that's that. Even though I just told him I was going to poop on his lawn. But anyways, yeah, thank you all for coming out to today's episode.
That's part of the wedding gift.
Yeah, it's his wedding gift. Yeah. Yeah, we exchange our poops we give each other. Anyways, let's just move on from that. That's you guys are still free to leave voicemails. I'll the number's still active. We might do a recap next week during episode 102 about some of the voicemails you guys leave about the topics we discussed today. Again, that's 575-386-5814. And also let us know in the comments if you like leaving voicemails for us opposed to the waiting room. I kind of like this a lot. I don't know, it could just be me. But yeah, I'm nervous to hear what you guys think about this. But anyways, like I said, links to everything will be in the description down below, as well as those Matt Snaps t-shirts, you guys. Use code BEANS for 15% off. And Alex, do you have anything you'd like to say before we close the show?
Yes. For those of you who are interested in about my channel, or buying my merchandise, or contacting me, you can visit my website at www.alexthehistorian.com.
Yes, alexthehistorian.com. I put that in the description as well for everybody to read, because Alex did recently get a website made for himself. It's really neat. He beat me getting a website. I'll have one eventually too, probably. But, excuse me. But anyways, like I said, links to everything, my Twitter, Alex's Twitter, my Patreon, our Discord server will be in the description below. Yeah, Kat says this was a good live stream. I'm glad I made it for the whole thing. I agree. This was a really fantastic episode. Hope you all thought so too. And yeah, as always, have a great big beautiful tomorrow.